there everybody, this is Blue. Today I'll be going over Silent Hill Shattered Memories. And I know that most gamers, and really fans of any kind of media, sort of get sick to their stomachs when they hear words like reimagining or retelling, because in certain cases like this, Silent Hill has been in some of our lives for 10 or even up to 13 years if you started off with the first game. The characters and the universe can kind of become embedded in your life, so like most others out there, I was extremely skeptical when I first heard that Shattered Memories was going to be a reimagining of the first title in the Silent Hill series. My worries about the game were actually put to ease rather quickly. If you go into this with an open mind, I think most gamers that are both Silent Hill veterans and newcomers alike will grow to love it. The story starts off with similar objectives as the first title in the series. Confused and fresh out of a car wreck, you play as Harry Mason, with the initial goal of finding his daughter in the snowy town of Silent Hill. You'll come across several familiar faces, such as Sybil Bennett and Dr. Kaufman, or Dr. K as he's referred to in this game, and even Dahlia. But aside from their names and various occupations, they really don't play the same role as what we're used to. Some characters have been completely redone, such as Dahlia, somehow coming across even creepier than she did in the past. This game is incredibly unique in the fact that your decisions literally change everything. Even what you look at can take a part in it. For example, when you're roaming the environment, if you fix your gaze on booze or posters of ladies in bikinis for too long, both the enemies and the familiar characters will change in appearance and treat you differently. You'll even be psychologically profiled in between chapters as we reflect on our story and talk it over in first-person view with Dr. K. He gives you various tests to find out where you are mentally, judging your introverted or extroverted nature, your sensing and intuition abilities, and even your sex life. You'll even be asked to color a picture with various colored pencils, and you'll be judged on how you choose to fill it in. These things may seem tedious and trivial to some people, but I found it engrossing and wonderfully comprehensive. This is the first title in the series where you don't actually fight any monsters. Your only method of survival is to run for your life, and you can rely on flares to either carry or drop in specific places on the ground to buy you some time. I can understand how this idea can be a little off-putting at first, but the chase scenes in the other world are so intense, you don't really want to stop any longer than you absolutely have to. They did an excellent job of creating panic and a true sense of horror. Graphically, they did an excellent job transforming the real world to the other world by encasing everything in ice. And even though this was one specific part of the design that I loved, the graphics in this game were absolutely horrible. At first it was released exclusively for the Wii, which makes the bad graphics somewhat more understandable, but this game is ugly even for Wii standards. But once you get past the initial shock, it really doesn't take away from the gameplay at all. As mentioned before, the monsters will change according to your own personal psychological profiling, but they all do the same amount of damage and the same sort of attacks, and when they latch onto you, it's really hard to shake them off, especially when there's a pack of them surrounding you. I found this to be the most frustrating part of the game when playing it on the Wii. You have to take your remote and your nunchuck and toss them in the direction that is opposite to which your monster is tugging at you, which is hard to interpret sometimes, and to be honest, just wouldn't respawn part of the time. This resulted in a few frustrating deaths and lots of me hitting myself in the face with the cord in between the two controllers. When it was later released on the PS2 and the PSP, it was infinitely easier to control, but the graphics took yet another dive, making navigating extremely difficult unless you already knew where you were headed. This game also has a unique way of observing and collecting data. Harry uses his cell phone to take what is called an echo photo to reveal things that you can't see with the naked eye. It's usually dead bodies or creepy children or just plain old blood. There are also echo messages to collect. When you approach one, your radio will increase its noise intensity until you get close enough to hear it. And when you do get it, it will play through your remote if you're playing it on the Wii. Collecting both the echo photos and the echo messages will complete the story of your game and give you a better understanding about what's really going on. And they're really intense when you do find them. You navigate through lots of dark, snowy areas that seem to be a bit too quiet. I found the hunting lodges to be the most terrifying, but you'll also explore places like shopping malls and a high school. The soundtrack is absolutely perfect. It complements the game to a T, bringing composer Akira Yamaoka back for one final Silent Hill title before he moved on to other projects like Shadows of the Damned and Lollipop Chainsaw. The music brings the intensity to the chase scenes, it breaks your heart during the revelations, and it has you chilled to the bone as you explore the snow-covered town. This game is also a real treat for those of you who like to collect items. Not only do you have the photos and the messages to find, there are also phone numbers you can call that will be on the billboards and other random places, and it will also fill in extra things in your story. You can find up to 25 trinkets throughout your game, and are rewarded at the end by being presented with a box full of them to reflect upon. The replay value is extremely high. You have 4 initial endings to earn, with titles such as Drunk Dad and Sleaze and Sirens. And then on your second playthrough, you can even unlock the traditional joke ending, which is, of course, UFOs. Overall, I enjoyed this game way beyond any and every expectation, so much that I ended up playing it on all 3 systems that it was released for, relishing in the differences between the stories as I changed one thing or another.